Damn, this is a lot of talking. Hi everyone, I'm gonna try to record more consistently again. Today, I'm gonna be talking about a new foundation from Armani. It is the Armani Designer Glow. Oh, I'm trying the cinematic mode so that my background is blurred because I'm a gremlin. Anyway, so it's the Designer Glow foundation. This is new. It was launched in Asia first. I bought mine off of Selfridges, so it is available in the UK. It is not available in the US yet, but I figured I should get the review out in case you're interested. That way you can know whether you want it before it comes to the US, or if you purchase from Selfridges or anywhere in the UK, you're good to go. And then I figured I would do a side-by-side and compare it with Luminous Silk, which is Armani's most well-known product, I'm pretty sure. The Designer Glow has a limited shade range. It only goes up to shade 7, which is not high at all, but like a shade-ish deeper than I am. I ended up getting shade 5 because I thought 7 would be too deep. In Luminous Silk, I have 6, which is more olive toned. The Designer Glow is a radiant, it says radiant revitalizing foundation, so it is a glowier finish than the Luminous Silk, which on me tends to be a little bit more like satin, natural, like not matte, but not radiant at all. I have used the Designer Glow already, and I do find that it is more glowy. And it wears really well. So this, I'm gonna swatch. This is Designer Glow in the shade 5. This is Luminous Silk in the shade 6. And so you can see this is peachier, this is more neutral. I tend to prefer neutral shades over peachy, but this one still works for me. And I believe they are the same price. So the full size Luminous Silk is $69. I believe the Designer Glow will be the same. The prices on Selfridges are different than the US prices are. They're usually a couple dollars less, just for context. That's one of the reasons that I pay for the global shipping subscription on Selfridges, because if you like luxury beauty, it's usually, you'll make up the cost in the shipping subscription in the discounts on the products. If you don't buy a lot of luxury makeup, it is not worth it. And you can see these as they're drying down. The Luminous Silk isn't quite so glossy. Yeah, I think you'll see that on the face. Let's go ahead and get started. So I did prep my face. I use mostly like hydrating layers on my skin because I have very dry and easily dehydrated skin. This is 1 pump of Designer Glow. I'll do it on this side. So I do have sunscreen and all of that. And like I said, a lot of my layers are just like light serum layers to get that hydration in. This is the Sephora 56 with cat hair on it. A lot of serum layers and then gel moisturizers on top. Because in the mornings, I just need a lot of hydration from moisture loss overnight, even if I do like occlusive layers and all of that. So it is what it is. So I have not applied this one with a brush yet, so I'm kind of curious how that lends to the finish. And it's looking more matte on me with the brush, which is kind of normal. I do have a sponge ready to go. Cat hair. It's always cat hair. But very light coverage. You can definitely tell that there's a difference. Some of that redness is reduced and all of that, but it's not going to give you full coverage by any means. And you can see it does build slightly, and I think it sits really well on the skin. I'm going to go in with a little bit more because I this patch, by the way, on my face, that is not a foundation patchiness problem. That is just something that happens on that spot on my face where it just kind of, I don't know if it doesn't hold on to pigment or if it holds on to too much when I put makeup on, but either way, you'll see that every time I do my foundation. It just is that way. So no fault to Armani. So now we're gonna go in on this side of the face with Luminous Silk. I wiped off the back of my hand so there's not any cross-contamination. And I'll do the same thing where I start with a brush and then go over with a sponge. And I'm going to use the same brush, which I have wiped off on a towel. And the Luminous Silk shade is more closely my summer shade. And so if it's a little dark, just give me some grace. I'm aware of it. I also do not match my foundation to the skin tone of my face because I wear sunscreen on my face pretty consistently. And I do not wear sunscreen on my body basically at all. I just moved, like a big move. Just is probably a strong word. It's been like 3 months. We moved from Western Washington, where the weather is pretty cloudy. The UV index is pretty low. And now we live in Southern California. So I imagine my sunscreen usage is going to change this year as I get used to living in a place where the sun actually reaches your body in a potentially catastrophic way. Anyway, that's one of the reasons that I was gone and not uploading, because we got ready for that move and we knew that we were planning on moving out of the state last year. And so that had been like in the works, and we were pretty sure we were actually going to be moving to Louisiana, to New Orleans, which is a place I have lived before and really enjoyed and really miss. And so we had thought that that was where we were going to move, and then life changed and we ended up down here for work-related reasons for my partner. But we had to get our house ready to sell, which meant finishing up like all of our DIY projects to like upgrade it. So that house got custom trim work for like the baseboards and stuff, because when we took out the carpets when we moved in, we put in laminate and then it left a big gap between the baseboards and the floor, and then we didn't know what we were doing with, I guess it was luxury vinyl tile. We didn't know what we were doing with the luxury vinyl tile. And so there was a gap away from the wall too far. We couldn't just lower the baseboards, because even if we had, there's a gap between the wall and the floor like this way. And so we had to put in thicker baseboards. But then the other thing is the casings around the door were then too short. But door casings are it's all kind of expensive, but door casings are way more expensive than they should be. And it ends up being like at least cost, like $45 per side of a door frame. And that adds up really fast. So I had to figure out how to adapt the casings to match the new baseboards, and there's all this like thickness making it look cohesive, transition pieces around corners, like all that stuff. Anyway, so I did custom trim work, and then a bunch of other stuff, refinishing cabinets and installing new hardware and replacing all of our light fixtures. It was a lot. It was definitely sort of like my full-time focus for a while, and then also packing up the house, getting rid of everything, because we didn't really move with any furniture, and I got rid of so much stuff. I'll pause in my storytelling. So you can see they're definitely different shades, but this one is just a little less radiant than this side. I hope that's coming through on camera well. I will do a wear test today. I think it's like 10 in the morning right now. That's our mile marker. And then I'm gonna go ahead and finish my face and keep telling this really interesting story, I'm sure. I'm gonna use my Luminous Silk concealer. This is in the shade 5, which is actually, it's very strange how much this is. I don't know, it's a strange color. It's kind of pink gray, which, whatever. I had to finish the projects on the house. There's a lot of landscaping stuff too. And then pack it all up, figure that out, and then we listed the house, and we kind of expected that it would sit for a while because the market had slowed down, interest rates are up, all that stuff. And we ended up with two offers like 3 days into our house being on the market, and that was kind of insane. And so then that really like got us in that like final stretch. And it's also really hard because like you need to live in your house until you leave it. But then it's also like, we're not taking the couch, we're not taking the mattress, we're, you know, all this stuff. So we just kind of lived in an empty house for a few days and slept on an air mattress. And then we have animals. So that was a big part of it as well. And then we hired movers for most of our stuff. We drove down with the animals in 2 separate cars. We did it in 2 days, which is fine. The movers, oh my gosh. We also didn't have hot water for like our first week here, which is like it was kind of fine, but you don't realize, we didn't have our gas for like a week. And I assumed, okay, we can't cook, no big deal. We won't have any of our stuff to really cook on anyway, so we'll get an air fryer, we'll make it work. But our apartment, the gas is our hot water tank, so that's like doing dishes, taking showers. It was our dryer, like our clothes dryer, and then our heat and AC are both gas. It ended up being a lot more than we realized that would be affected by not having our gas turned on for a week. And we didn't have anything that was gas in our old place, so we just had no concept of like what all could be hooked up to gas. That was the first week, and then our movers came, and the movers lost at least 8 boxes of stuff. And it was books, which are like very important to me, and it was makeup. It was like 4 boxes of makeup. It was a lot of luxury stuff, all of my like cream bronzers, my liquid blushes, all of my NARS Audacious lipsticks, which is like a collection I've been building over many years, and they're being discontinued, so they're like harder to find. Some of my like collectible items, just kind of dumb. All of my concealers, and some of my like acrylic makeup storage, which like isn't inexpensive either. Yeah, so actually the Charlotte Tilbury cream bronzer is one of the things that was lost in those boxes, and one of my very good friends bought it for me as an I'm sorry about your disastrous move gift. So that's what I'm going to be using right now. And the other thing that we didn't know, in part because we were rushed and in part because this is the first time we've moved across the country this way. I've moved across the country a couple of times, but like with a car full or a suitcase, like not in a grown-up way. When you put your stuff on a moving truck, they have to insure it to a certain point for the Department of Transportation, but it's like 25 cents a pound or something like that is how they insure it, which is not that much at all. When we signed our contract, all of that for the move, they didn't tell us about insurance at all. So you can add additional insurance. I don't know how much it would have cost us, but either way, we didn't even know that was an option. We didn't consider it. The other thing too is when they packed, I would not go with these movers ever again. I think they were particularly like not good at this. But when they packed our stuff, they charged us by volume, cubic foot. But then you're insured by weight, except we never had a weight of our move given to us. So we also couldn't even prove like this is how much weight of ours you lost. We can only have number of boxes. And the other thing, when I say like about 8 boxes, it's because the movers did number our boxes, but with stickers that didn't stick to cardboard. Only about half of them actually arrived numbered. We don't even know for sure how many boxes are gone. I just know it's at least 4 boxes of books because those were packed in like a specific type of box. So those were easy to like count. And the same with like boxes of makeup. I'm pretty sure it was at least 2. And then there's some like kitchen stuff that never showed up. So I think that's an additional box. If you are getting movers, ask questions about insurance. I would, by the way, if you're moving anything of sentimental or monetary value, and if you have a large makeup collection, your makeup collection is worth more money than you've realized, I can promise. Because in makeup alone, I think before I kind of just like gave up, I was at over $3,000. Because it's just like everything is like $25, $40 like in pieces, right? And it just like it adds up like crazy, especially if you have any luxury. Like I lost all my Hermes lipsticks, I lost like my Chanel cream bronzers. Like that's so much money so fast. But you, again, you buy it like, you know, one little piece at a time, so you don't realize how much it's adding up. Wild. Always pack the stuff like with you that you know you could not bear being separated with. So like in my car, I have a box of like mementos, like letters from people, cards, like important but not like vital documents, just like certificates, things like that. That came in the car with me. My Christmas ornaments are like kind of separated into like generic Christmas ornaments and like my sentimental Christmas ornaments. Those came in the car with me because I was like, if I lose these, I will lose my mind. Obviously the animals came with. There's some other stuff too that I was just like very, very careful about. So keep that in mind. If it can fit in your car and you would lose your mind if you lost it, or it's like very expensive, put it in your car and drive it with you. And then otherwise, itemize your boxes. Like keep a master sheet with you of this is how many boxes. I numbered them myself. This is, you know, a summary of what's in them, and mark down key items so that you can like take pictures. I know it makes it all that much more time consuming to pack, but I promise, like I wish I had taken those steps because it would have made me at least be able to like recover some of those losses. Because like even like my 4 boxes of books, presuming that they're 50 pounds a box, which is probably about right, if I'm getting 25 cents a pound, that's $50 for all of those books. Like that's nothing. That's 2 hardcovers that I can buy back, right? Like that's nothing. So just think about it. Like if you have any kind of collection of anything, promise you it adds up faster than you realize. I'm going to use this Armani blush in the shade 50, which is this like pink with gold pearl. So that was kind of traumatic. Like the time I realized like my books were missing, I was like, wait, because I wasn't planning on like unpacking my books right away because I needed to get bookshelves and it just like wasn't a priority, whatever. And then I was like counting in my head as I was falling asleep how many boxes of books I had stored in closets and realized I was missing 4. And the next day I like went to IKEA, bought bookcases so that I could unpack them and see like what was actually missing because I was so stressed out about it. They also lost my DVDs, which like who cares, except it wasn't like I don't necessarily have those to watch them. I have them like they're all memories, you know, like I had a weird assortment of DVDs, and like there is a part of me that's like that stuff you hold on to that's just kind of sentimental. Like I don't watch those DVDs. I'm just not really like a movie rewatcher, but it's like I had Princess and the Frog, which is like a Disney movie that I like very much, and so that's gone. You know, I have Boondock Saints from when I bought it in high school and it was like the movie, and I had a French film Salvador Dali worked on, and that was a hard one to get. Even when I got it, that was also in high school, so like 20 years ago. I had to go to like a specialty movie store, like all this stuff, and so it's like they're just memories. They're like, you know, but as a memory hoarder, there's something about like having the Band-Aid ripped off of losing some sentimental stuff, but not like my vital sentimental stuff, because like I always would have kept that box of DVDs. Like, do I need the box of DVDs? No. Do my memories change not having them? No. And so that has been a really interesting like thought lesson for myself, but not what I wanted to learn in that way. So anyway, I've been trying real hard to like recover as much of my makeup from like secondhand sites as possible, and just generally trying to, it's not traumatic, but it felt traumatic. I'm gonna use, oh, I did break it. I just dropped it like 4 times. This is, I can show you the packaging. This is a Bobbi Brown blush and highlight duo. This was part of their Lunar New Year collection, and this is in the shade Pink Dawn Glow. Pink Dawn, and then Pink Glow is the highlight. The highlight's part of their permanent range, and I didn't have this one. And I'd seen very good things about it. So I actually got this from Selfridges as well. And I'm just going to use the highlight. I don't really need highlight. You can see that Armani blush is pretty glowy. But I just want like a little kind of pop. And I thought the pink glow might go with it, but I'm regretting it a little. Maybe, okay. I'm not regretting it because I don't like that formula. I'm regretting it because the undertone is like a more cooler pink. So I have right next to me this Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate duo in the shade in 01 Moodlight. I'm going to use this instead because I think that top shade is actually going to go, or bottom shade is going to go fairly well on my cheeks. The other thing too, because I did lose like quite a bit of my luxury makeup, and some of it was like new releases, stuff that I had purchased thinking like, oh, well, I'm going to put it in a box in a safe place and it'll be my treat for completing the move when I get on the other side of it, because I packed my makeup like very far in advance because it was like my most delicate stuff. So I made sure that it was like very bubble wrapped and didn't want to like run out of packing materials, you know, in the final hour kind of thing. Since a lot of it was stuff that I just like treated so much like a precious object and not used enough or like hardly used at all, and then kind of grieved the fact that I didn't get to use it, it's also given me this like renewed sense of like, use your things, you know, like you have precious objects for a reason, you know, like you buy nice things because you want to be able to use them, not because you want to just like look at them all the time. And there are a couple of exceptions. Like I have some Burberry items that I probably will never use extensively because they are to me like just very, very beautiful. I'm going to use, speaking of using precious objects, I'm going to use this Hermes quad that I've used a couple of times and I like it. They're very expensive. I don't know if I will buy another one. I could see under the right circumstances potentially buying another one, but it's not like high on the list to do. Maybe I'll swatch it for you. These are not like super new, but they're relatively new. I'm also just trying to get better at that mindset of like, your makeup isn't there to just take up space. Like I bought it so I could use nice things, and I have a lot of very nice things. So I do want to be using them more. You know, like one of the things that I struggle with is that like first touch, right? Like the first time you touch it, you're gonna mess up the pattern. It's not gonna look pristine anymore. And obviously I understand that mentality because that is my mentality. And then that's kind of why I was like, oh, I should start like Instagram or YouTube, because then I can have this like documentation of when it was fresh and new, and then I can preserve that moment in time and use it without guilt, because I can go back and look at it and remember it when it was like brand new. So then what happens, and this is why I had like things that were new and unused, is I would get things and be like, oh, I need to take pictures of this before I use it, but I'm not very good at taking pictures of product. And so I would be like, well, I have to wait for like the sun to be just perfect, or like, oh, well, I have to get, you know, my lighting set up in my room and it just takes so long and nothing ever works, because truly nothing ever works. It just, I don't know. I struggled with the lighting in our house really badly. Right now I'm in front of this like giant window, and so it's just, all of this is natural light. I do have an overhead light on, but it is the dimmest fluorescent light you've ever met. Anyway, so I would just kind of put off using it because I'm like, well, I have to get my recorded history of it being pristine. And then I just wouldn't do that. And same with like YouTube. Like I'm like, okay, well, I'm better at filming content. I don't know that I'm necessarily better at filming content, but it feels more in my comfort zone somehow. And so that was like, okay, well, I'll film content instead of taking photos, and that will be better for me. But then I'd still find reasons to not do that also, because it's just hard to see yourself on camera, especially when you're not used to it. And so that like learning curve of hearing your own voice and seeing the way that your face moves, because even if you look at yourself in the mirror on a regular basis, I do my makeup every day, I know what I look like, but then I see myself on camera And that gives me an appreciation for like how I move my face. And that is really kind of surreal. I can't really explain it. There's like, I don't even want to point it out because I'm like, then everyone's going to hate me and they're going to notice these things about the way that I talk. And it's going to be over because it's going to annoy everyone else as much as it annoys me. But they're just like things about the way that my face moves when I talk. And I'm like, oh, I hate that person. And so there's stuff like that that's hard. And, you know, or like you record for an hour and then you go to upload and edit and you realize there was a background noise you didn't realize, or the angle was really bad. And that's the other thing. I've always been in spaces where I couldn't have like a real setup. Like even right now, I'm sitting at a desk, but I'm filming with my iPhone. The contraption holding it up was like an inexpensive one on Amazon. So if you bump it just so, it will all come tumbling down. And then, you know, like making sure that it's all kind of like in the same spot for the next time, and what does the background look like, and it's just, I don't know. And like I actually don't know, I guess I'll hear it back, but our house struggled with echoes so bad. It felt like it didn't matter how much I put in the room, it would never get rid of the echo. All the bedrooms, like the wall, they were right in a row, so the walls were touching. And so that also meant that I could hear my partner like on his work call in his office all day long. And so I worried that he would be able to hear me, and I didn't want to like interrupt his paying job with my hobby noises. And that was like a whole thing. But then it's like, if I waited until after the workday was over, and so he'd be in the kitchen, I could hear him doing dishes like through the door. They were like thin, hollow door. It was just a mess. And so there's always like an excuse for why not. And it's really easy to create those excuses for doing something that's like outside of your comfort zone. And this is outside of my comfort zone. I wasn't using things because I had this idea in my head that like I wanted to record it in its pristine state. But then when it came time to do that, there was always a reason that the content I was going to make, which was also conceivably for me, it wasn't for anybody else, but then it like wasn't good enough. And so if I couldn't make it good enough, then I wasn't going to do it, even though also you only get better at doing stuff if you do the stuff. So now I'm just trying to do the stuff. Like, you know, if no one watches, if no one likes it, but I'm doing it in a way that helps me appreciate and use my makeup, talk about makeup, and like bring me joy, then the purpose has been served. Like that's all that really matters. And I do like learning things, and so I would like to get better at things and just kind of relax more about talking about things that I enjoy, and maybe talking about other things too. Like I kind of even thought for a while of doing stuff that's like here, doing like get ready with me's, but doing them while talking about like the stuff that you don't know how to do as an adult until you have to do it, like choosing movers, choosing real estate agents, all that kind of stuff that it's like the first time you have to do it, you might end up learning a lot of things the hard way if you don't have guidance or, you know, people in your life to like help you answer those questions and go through those things, which I don't really. And so it feels like every time I've had to do something new in life, I'm gonna learn something. And that just kind of, it sucks sometimes. It sucks to be like, why can't I just get lucky? Why do I have to learn the lesson this way? I feel like that's the story of my life. So if I could help other people maybe not have to learn it that way, that could be kind of nice. Anyway, if that is at all interesting, which I don't expect it to be, but if it is, let me know. I can tell you a lot of things about a lot of things, because dang, that's just the way my life goes. Gotta learn things the learniest way possible, tell you that. That's cute. But actually, I was a little worried the Hermes quad wouldn't work so well with the blush, but I like the way that it turned out together. I'm not really gonna do a ton with my eyebrows. I'm just gonna use my Kosas Brow Gel. I use the shade Taupe. I use a lot of different shades because I can't decide what I want my eyebrows to look like. But this, like, it kind of just fills in enough without darkening my eyebrows, because I find that I am very prone to making my eyebrows way darker than I want them to be. That's also why it's like, it's nice to just kind of keep my eyebrows a neutral color, because I don't really want to match them to any of this. But when my hair is lighter especially, I feel like my dark eyebrows can just get a little crazy. This is the YSL Lash Clash, which I kind of bought on an impulse when I was having a sad girl day and took myself to the mall. And I needed mascara, and I haven't tried this one before. Really like it. So this is the Luminous Silk side again, and you can tell it is not super glowy, much more matte. And this side has maintained more of that, like, it's not even glow. I guess glow is fine because it's not dewy. It's just a little bit juicier looking. I did mean to powder my under eyes, and I'm just going to use my Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder because I'm trying to use it up. Look at how close I am. So I'm going to put that in the center of my face mostly, but this is it for the look. I'm sure I'll change my lipstick like 4 times today just for fun. And I will check in about 4 hours, and then I'll try to check in again closer to like 8 to 10 hours. I usually wear my makeup until right before I go to bed, so I can do a long wear test, but they're not, I don't think most people wear their makeup like that. I think most people take their makeup off like they take off their outside pants, you know? Not me. I'll see you in like 4 hours. All right. It has been about 5 hours. I meant to do 4 hours, but it's been 5 hours. And this is what the Armani Designer Glow foundation looks like right now. So the Designer Glow is on this side, remember? I think it looks pretty good still. Weirdly, actually, I feel like on the top of my forehead, I'm getting a little bit more glowiness coming through on the Luminous Silk side versus this side. And I'm seeing some dryness right here. I'm gonna turn on my ring light because it's evening time and it got cloudy and rainy. How's that? Okay. Hopefully that's not washing me out terribly. It's just gonna show you all of my imperfections. That's the point of a foundation review. Actually, down here on both sides is looking kind of not great. When it looks like this down here, I'm less likely to blame a foundation and more likely to kind of put it on me and my skincare, because this happens a lot on me, and it just means that I need to exfoliate. I think on both sides it's worn really well. There's some here around my mouth, and that's a little bit from eating, drinking, but I don't think it's very like obvious. And then I was on the phone for a long time, and so there's a little bit of wearing here, less on this side, but you can still see some there. I was trying to like be careful and hold my phone out, but it didn't work. But overall, like, the blush is still very visible and vibrant. My highlight's still very visible, and that can mean that the foundation is holding on well, because usually the foundation has to fade a little bit for the blush to fade. So yeah, any of this patchiness around here, it's because I chew on my lip and I like will hold my face to do it. It just means it's not totally transfer proof. And right now, I think you're really not able to see that they're very different. They wear really, really similarly. Hopefully that's helpful. It's 4:45 right now. I will check in again, but probably not until 8:30 or 9. It could even be 10:30 depending on what my memory does. So either way, we'll see it at the end of the day. I will try to stop touching my face, and we'll see how well I do in that goal. See you later. All right, I am back, and it is around 11 p.m. So that, oh, I told you. So that makes this closer to about 12 hours that I've had both of these foundations on. So up close, you can see that dryness here, and it's kind of on both sides. So both formulas just kind of catch on that like dryness that I have, but it's not terrible. Cheeks still look really good. on both sides. Forehead, I think the forehead is definitely shinier than it was when we started, but I think overall it looks really good. It doesn't look bad. Yeah, there's like a little bit of wearing around here and the sides of my nose. I don't know if any of that is me touching my face, but it might be. But overall, like, the planes of my face look pretty good. Here's some wearing away from talking on the phone. And yeah, it's gathering right here. I don't know if that's, you can see that on camera. And I bet you it won't look that bad tomorrow if I use like a glycolic acid tonight. I think overall they wore about evenly, and I don't think you can really say, like, see that this is much more glowy. I don't think you can really say the coverage is all that different between the two of them. This might be, the Designer Glow might be a little less coverage than the Luminous Silk, but not by a ton. I do think I have a little bit more, it's not like radiance, it's not glow, it's just like a little less matte, you know? So I guess that is, it's a little bit more natural finish on this side compared to this side, but it's not significant. So really, I think I would probably say if you have the Luminous Silk, you don't need the Designer Glow. First time I wore the Designer Glow, it was a lot juicier on my skin than it was today. So I think skin prep and skin type, depending on your skin type, probably have a lot to do with it. If I had done maybe even another layer of moisturizer under it or used a primer, which I did not do today, that also may have allowed the foundation to not like natural finish so much on my skin and allowed it to be a little bit glowier. So if you have a more normal skin, I think you will see a more significant difference between the two. Like I said, that's kind of from the impressions I had wearing it the first time, not on camera. Hope this wear test was helpful. Let me know what else would be helpful for you in foundation reviews. This is, I think, the thing that I want to do the most of, so I would like to make them as helpful as possible. So let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.